What's up, y'all? It's your girl Rhonda. Tonight we're getting into this week's episode of P Valley, Season 2, Episode 8. Before we do that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends. So, show starts, Mercedes on the pole, she's struggling. I don't, I don't understand why it's this bad though. I mean, I know she's got the situation with her arm and everything, but it seemed like everything she was doing was a struggle, and it was getting to her. So, she sat down on the stairs and she started crying like she was feeling super defeated. Just then, Uncle Clifford comes in the door talking about ain't no crying in the paint. He got a long list of things that aren't allowed to have happen in the paint. But he lets Mercedes know that whatever her injury is, it's in her head, not, not in her body, not in her shoulder. And I mean, we know what she's got going on. She's got the situation with her daughter, which I'm sure weighs heavily on, you know, top of the fact that she did shoot somebody. I mean, that's not a thing that you do every day or that you just get over, especially when you have the weight hanging over your shoulders of what's gonna happen if somebody finds out. You can't just assume that, because Diamond, has magical powers that the shit's not gonna come back to you. So can't imagine how hard it must be to get over that. The situation with her daughter, the whole idea of what she thought, was her dream come true is no longer, I won't say it's no longer a thing, but it's not something she could actively work on because even if she still had the money at this point, this is post COVID. And so people weren't even really like going back into places publicly. Um, Going to your everyday job with a mask on is one thing. Going to a job where you got to be dancing with a mask on and breathing, that's a dream that you don't know which way it's gonna go. We're at a different point now, but then that was right after the fact. And she is getting older after some point, and I mean not the 30 years old, but after you've been doing that stuff she's been doing, it's got to be wear and tear on your body. There's no way in the world that there's longevity in that, all of that pounding of bodies on a pole. So, I get it. I get why she's in that place. But at this point, she need her body in order to survive, make money. Okay, so now we're over here with Uncle Clifford and murder. Clifford is, I'm guessing he cleaning him up. I don't know that he got the skills to be carving names in the back of somebody's head, but maybe so. Like Clifford is, a glamour goddess, so maybe she can. But tensions are thick between these two. I would say one, because Granny is in the hospital and we don't know if she's coming back. So for Clifford, that's a huge thing. Two, I mean, Clifford and Murder weren't exactly in the best place when he showed up there completely bloody and, in tears. So I'm guessing, and then they had this whole emotional moment where they don't know what to do with their feelings. It's just a whole lot going on. But I'm gonna say now that Murder has been there and there's been some chill, clearly he hasn't told Clifford like what's going on. Like at the end of the day, you know, you safe here and all that, but I'll let you stay here. And so are you not gonna tell me anything about what happened? Because I feel like I should get to know something. That part. And maybe there's some, code of the streets, whatever. But I'm feeling like if this is your partner in intimacy, then there's some things that you're gonna have to share. I'm just saying. And then murder, on the other hand, is dealing with the loss of somebody that he cared for very much. And it ain't really like gonna be very easy for him to just tell that story to Clifford. That's, a whole nother thing that it ain't really time to let that cat out of the bag. So I understand why there's tension between the two. So they get in this little back and forth about who been protected and who, who you been with and what's going on and what you getting so cute for. Clipper was in her feelings, Murder is in his feelings. Now they, coming to the realization that they had unprotected sex with each other without like really knowing what's good. Y'all let the passion take over and the emotion take over and all of that. And I mean, y'all will be all right, but there's other stuff like lingering in the room, the other elephants in the room that are gonna have to be discussed before y'all know what's next. Um, so Clifford is calling the hospital, clearly like again in the last 45 minutes, based on what the nurse said, she's tired of, you know, answering the phone. And I can imagine healthcare professionals were over there dealing with frantic people just like Uncle Clifford calling and not, it's stressful even to think about. God bless everybody that had to deal with those type of situations because, anyway, so they told him to let it go. No news is good news. And that's really all they could tell you. Nothing has changed. Granny at this point is still here with us, but she's still in the same condition she was in when she left the hospital. Out of stress, Clifford is like, let me get away from this nigga because he's pissing me off. And I need to get away because I'm stressed about the granny thing. So Clifford storms out the door. Murder asks where she was ready to go, and she like, I don't know where you going, and you need to know I have to tell you where I'm going. So that's how they, that's the note they close. So Mercedes is jogging down the street, and her dog, Black and Mild. I can't imagine calling my dog Black and Mild the whole thing every single time. There have to be a short version of that. Anyway, she's jogging down the street and somehow or another her dog gets distracted and she goes over into this crowd of people. And when she catches up with the dog, she sees that he's gone over there to say hi to Maine. So Maine has been let out, and Maine is looking lovely, and Mercedes is looking lovely, and they looking lovely together and looking at each other all cross-eyed. Maine says that because of, Miss Rona, they had to let him out early, and he invites her to a little, I don't know, street party that the boys are throwing. It's a celebration. Man is home, so we about to celebrate this shit. And he would like for Mercedes to come, and she said, "Let me see first if I can move some things around. But if I can, I will definitely be here." And he like, "Yeah, I like the way you move things around." This is a hot couple, and I'm not gonna let y'all play with me, but we'll get into that later. So Autumn is down to the diner and she's gonna meet up with Keyshawn. Keyshawn somehow managed to, convince Derek to let her go get some French fries from the diner. So she goes down there, she meets up with Autumn to bring her the birth certificates of her and the kids. They have a plan that Keyshawn is gonna go headline at the Pink and the take home money, that they will give Derek. So I guess they just give her money directly to him. I just thought about that because she said that the money on the floor goes to Derek and the door money will go to her and she's going to take her kids and leave. So I'm like, so they just give the money directly to Derek, huh? Woo. It's even worse than I thought. But I guess, because if she had money, she could have left. Like, keeping her without, I'm just saying, she's a whole slave. And that's horrible, but that's what it is. Imagine that down there in the Mississippi where the girls be naked. Keyshawn can't stay long. So once she handles all of that, at one point, Autumn asked her where she was going. And she's like, I was just thinking. And Autumn is like, don't do that. Never do that. Rule number one, never tell anybody where you're going, even the people that are helping you. So, she failed that test right out the gate. She'd be the one with a cell phone calling somebody to check on them, something crazy. Anyway, she has to go because, there's a time limit as how long she can even be away from this clown. And Autumn is just sitting there in the diner. While she's sitting there, she looks up at the TV and there's a whole smear campaign against Andre and his, run for the mayor of Chucalissa. So they done found out that Andre lied about who his father was. He said his father was dead. His father is in prison on death row for murder. I don't understand. I don't understand why that's something that you would keep a secret. Honestly, like if you're running for politics, like how hard could it have been to figure out that information? You know, the point is, you was over at the cigar gentlemen's club telling them people at the masquerade party that you were this rags to riches story anyway, and they loved it. And look how I came up out of the mud. Like you should have told the truth on that one because this is really not good. And while while Autumn is sitting at that diner back over at Andre's house, Corbin is, busting the blood vessel because he's financing this whole campaign. And he's like, why didn't you tell me all of this? I told you in the beginning to tell me everything, And so while they're sitting there arguing, another smear commercial comes on. This one is against Patrice Woodbine. And they show her like down in the streets, like taking money, being a whole prostitute. They called her prostitute and a whore and blah blah blah. And when she came back forward with, I've been told y'all I was a hoe. I hoed all over this town. I sucked on many a dick in my life, but that was in my past. And so yeah, so Corbin is looking at Andre like at least she owned her shit. Like you can't what the fuck did I even say? You can't spray somebody, let somebody spray you with, with your own tea or something like that. You put that shit out there, they can't spray you with it, basically. And so as far as Patrice Woodbine go, she said y'all been new. And she's reporting. She said she hold so Chuck Lisa could rise or something like that. She is way too much. So back at Keyshawn's house, Derek comes home with a gift. He done bought her some Christian Louis Vuittons. Now, Derek doesn't work, and those are very expensive shoes. So is he buying her gifts with her own money? Like, they don't fit anyway. She tried to put her foot in there and she said they don't fit. Ever since I've had these kids, my feet are not the same size. He back here not trying to do the same Prince Charming thing he did back in the day, but it's not working, Derek. He's so lame. First he tried, she didn't want no potato chips and moon pie, so he stepped it up to Louis Vuittons. Nope, she don't want that either. And he start fist beating himself in the head. He looked like somebody would punch himself in the head. Talking about he can't do nothing right. He can tell that he could tell that she's drifting away. Like all the stuff that used to work, I don't know if it worked or not, or if she just trained herself to accept it. I guess like before, it wasn't her kid getting beat up. So there's no coming back from that. Like I don't know what you could keep saying that you didn't mean it and you won't do it, and she doesn't believe that because you've said that about her and kept doing it and doing it and doing it. So she knows better. So I just think, he could feel that she's slipping away, slipping, out of his hands. That's a dangerous place for her to be in too, because he's sitting here fist punching himself in the head. So it's even more scary that he feels her sleeping away. But he was like, I'll go fix up your room. I'll do anything. I'll go fix up your room so you can do your, OnlyFans. And she's like, I don't want to do that. And he was like, well, you could go on tour. I'm not going on tour. I don't want to do that either. Like, are you a fool and leave my kids here alone with you? No, nope, 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 not doing that. So he was like, you want to work at the Pink? And she kind of looked at him. He's like, but everything bad happens over there. And I'm thinking, no, everything bad happens at home. And she said that's the only place she can be where she can feel alive. And at this point, he's so in need to I don't know, get her back. Get her back in his graces. He's in such a need to get her back on his good side that he agreed to do it. So that's good because now, like, she can move forward with the plans. It almost just fell into her lap. Thank God, something needed to. Corbin went over there with his brother, who is responsible for the smear campaigns against, both Patrice Woodbine and Andre. And, he confronted him about it and said something to the effect of like, what if our father's dirty little secrets got out? And his brother was like, you are the dirty little secret. But, everybody got a half-breed, bastard running around here. Something crazy he said like that. So that's not new. That's not, nobody cares. So Autumn comes into the salon. She's slinking in there in a tight purple dress, and the beautician looks up at her and was like, "Oh no, honey, no, you're in the wrong place. Shanae's salon is down the street." And Autumn is like, "No, I'm in the right place." So the old gangster lady, politician widow, I don't know what her job is, but she was sitting in the salon chair with her hair rolled in Coke cans. I've done a lot of roller sets in my life, but I have never rolled anybody's hair in Coke cans. I don't even know how to make them stay. How you make them stay? Anyway, so boss lady looks at Autumn and said, "So are you ready to take my offer? Do you need me to send over a contract?" And Autumn said, "Not unless the contract says $10 million." After she said that, boss lady sent her hairstylist away and was like, "Give us a minute." And she sat there and fired up a daggone cigar. Right before they started that, they fake compliment each other. It's so weird. This lady is sitting here with Coke cans rolled in her hair, a cigar smoking inside the salon, and talking in this very southern accent. It's really, makes me uncomfortable. Anyway, she's like, "Oh, I like the red hair. And but the black looks good on you too." And Autumn said, "Well, the gray looks good on you." She said, "Yeah, no need to hide who you are." And I was like, what does she mean by that? Like, does she know something? Because Autumn got 15, 11 different identities. We don't know what her real name is. Autumn, Haley, Letitia. We don't know who she is. But I was like, that's interesting. I wonder why. I wonder if she knows something already. But she sat up there and looked at Autumn, smoking that cigar with the coke hands in her hair, and pretty much said, "Y'all, this is your reparations. Like, homeboy tried to offer you nothing. I'm offering you 5 million, and that's it." Like, and really, basically, since Patrice Woodbine is in this election and splitting up the vote, and all, she's a holy roller, so they don't want no casino. And if they get in the way of the casino, then we might be waiting years for the referendum to pass. There might not be no casino for years, and I got enough money to sustain. Do you? And I don't think she does. So when she was walking out, homegirl said, 5 million, that's my final offer. Are you holding or folding? And Autumn walked out the door and said she holding. Now, there's a possibility that this old gangster lady might give her a little bit more. She gonna be getting 10 million, but maybe she'll get more than 5 million. So Murder goes down to the funeral home to, view Teek's body and take him and stuff. And Murder asks Wody if he ever gets tired of being around death. And Wody is like, not really, because death is inevitable. And Murder basically confronted him about, what happened with Ron. And he's like, Ron is, a terrible person. He, did the R word, and he was a hater and a crook. And, Murder is telling him, like, you can't be just out here, playing God. And he said, "You didn't say that to Teek, so don't say that to me." And it's true. Teek was out here, killing on his behalf, but now all of a sudden you got a conscience about it. Lodi asked Murder, like, "Why didn't you tell me about the tape?" And at first he tried to deny it. And then he was like, "Rome sent it to Keyshawn. So, I know it exists." And Murder is like, "Well, when he was 15, apparently, he said he was out here and he had to do what he needed to do to eat, survive, take care of his mother, put clothes on his back. And the only person that can judge me on that is God." And Wody is pretty much like, "Well, don't worry about it because I took care of it." And he said, "You're good at taking care of things." And He said, what if Rowan already sent it out? That's true, which is, probably the case. We don't know. That's one of those things that'll be hanging over his head, but he had to know at some point. Well, I mean, like he said, he was out here. I guess he never knew he was gonna be this public person. He was doing something to survive back then. He did not know that this was gonna be something that he had to now hide from the world. So, that's why. Um, I guess, and he didn't probably think about it. It was a long time ago. Anyway, he when he said, like, what are you gonna do if people find out about it? And he's like, or if he already sent it out, and what he said, I'll handle that too. And Murder is like, why me, Bodie? Like, why you want to look out for me? And Bodie is like, well, somebody's got to make it out of here, so it might as well be you. And then he walked out and left Murder sitting there contemplating. So we down at the paint for the reopening, and Big L tells Clifford the inspection lady is only letting them at 50% capacity, and ain't no way in the world they're gonna be able to make their loot with so few people in there. They need to pack the house to get everybody looking for getting their money up. Remember, we've been on lockdown for a while. And Clifford tells Big L, like, you need to be trying to get over there and, get a lady a little action, because clearly Big Bone is not going to be on your list of things to do, because she over there, Diamond already locked that down. And I ain't never seen him smile before. Diamond was like, I heard that. And Uncle Clifford was like, I meant for you to hear it. Sure. Clifford said he not worried because he got his bottom bitch back. Mercedes back in the house. I'm not sure why that has Uncle Clifford so excited, because every time Mercedes get on this pole, it gets worse and worse. I'm just, it's painful to watch, because we got caught up in the Mercedes experience and now it's broken. Not physically, mentally broken. And that's sad. So Autumn is sitting there prancing around and, in a suit, like, boss lady suit. And she tells Mercedes, like, I want to see your routine. Uncle Clifford says she ain't done stretching yet. So these two have this power struggle going on. They both think they the boss. And so Mercedes looks at Big Bone and was like, throw something on that she can freestyle to. Ciao. Mercedes got up there jerking around that pole and kicking over speakers, and it was so bad. She bombed it so bad. Uncle Clifford can't stand to see Mercedes struggling, so she shuts it down. She not gonna, watch her girl struggle like that. Autumn tells Mercedes, like, it's a week away from the reopening and you're just not ready. You're not ready. And so I don't think you're ready to open the show. And she looked back and she was like, I know you're not thinking about putting Autumn and Whisper as the headliners. That ain't going to happen. And she was like, no, that's the last thing you need to be worried about. So no sooner does she says that than Mississippi comes strolling through the door. Diamond got hearts flowing out of his earlobes. And Big Bone knows exactly what it is, because he was definitely mesmerized. But everybody was. When Mississippi walked in the door, the whole room stopped breathing. Whisper and Roulette was over in the corner, excited to see what was going to happen. Roulette was like, this is going to be good. Uncle Clifford is salty, looked at Autumn and was like, you yellow bitch. He keep calling her a yellow bitch. Whisper and Roulette are super big fans. They in the dressing room talking about, oh my God, we have your eyelashes, and they're fangirling out, and Mississippi is being her sweet self. So, and in the background you can hear Autumn and Clifford screaming and hollering at each other. It was so bad. So Mercedes walks back there and it kind of quiets down, and Mississippi have a moment, and I mean, she's glad to see her, but she's still mad a little bit, but she knows, I'm sure everybody knows what Mississippi is going through over there with going on tour and having to be back here and dealing with that crazy, husband of hers and walking around with black eyes. Somebody that beautiful got to be getting beat down. It's just crazy. Um, Mississippi said, is my locker still available? And Mercedes is like, I know you tripping. Like, why would you even ask something like that? So yes, her locker's still there and your vanity is still there too. And they look at each other, they're getting ready or what have you. And Mercedes, Mississippi, all these M's, they bad as Huntsville, Marceau and Maurice and Eminem and Eminem. Anyway, Mississippi, they're kind of like speaking to each other through the mirrors. It's I love the way they shoot this. It's so emotional. So Mississippi said, I never really thought I would be back here. And I mean, Mercedes could relate. Like before COVID, Mercedes was going to go have her gym and, Mississippi on the road and things were about to store. And then COVID came and shut everything down. And now it seems like everybody, I mean, all of us, it feels like the world is in such a weird, cranky place that we still trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Anyway, Mercedes looks at her and said, well, it must be because you didn't have no other choice. And so at the end of the day, as much as they want to be there, I mean, as much as they love the Pink and Uncle Clifford and all of that, like that's home for them, they're both at a point in life where they're ready to move on from that. So, it was nice to see them in that sisterhood because they needed it, honey. They ain't had nobody they can really trust. And that Autumn, whatever the hell her name is, Letitia, Autumn, Haley, we can't trust her. We don't know where she's coming from. She's just a very slinky little thing that slinks around the city talking real slow. So we don't know what's up with that. I don't trust it. I mean, she's done some good for them. I think it's just because they were home for her when she first got there, but she is not to be trusted. That's for damn sure, especially if it means you got to go toe to toe with her. So she's fine with you until you got to go, like I said, toe to toe, and it's going to be a whole different story. Uncle Clifford running around there snatching all her stuff, talking about I'd take the vending machine if it would fit in my Birkin. Uncle Clifford been real flashy. She's a whole moment every time she enters the room. Let's just say now she got a Birkin. Okay, Uncle Clifford, but you can't pay for the friggin' inspector lady to open the thing back up. This is why you're in this predicament, Uncle Clifford. Walking around in Ivy Park and all kinds of designer stuff. You had some on at well, we'll talk about that when I get there. Anyway, Clifford goes out upset, sitting in her car, and then she hears a voice. And she was having this moment, like, still Clifford is like worried about Ernestine in the hospital where you can't even go check on her. That's not something that people are used to either. You're used to being able to say, on my way home from work, I'm gonna stop by the hospital, check on so and so, see how they're doing. There was none of that. So when she went away in that ambulance, all you can do is hope that she's gonna come back home. And Ernestine is all Clifford has as far as family is concerned. So she's going through it. And she was in the car, like, and in this shit with Autumn and everything just all piled up on her at the same time. She's sitting in her car and she hears a voice that basically tells her to like go ahead and cry. And so Clifford went ahead and finally released, tears are good. Tears are good when bad things are happening. You got to let that shit out so you can figure out how to move forward. When you hold that shit in, that shit will kill you. You have to let it out. Tears are a beautiful thing. And once you get a good cry out, then, then you figure shit out. But sometimes it's necessary to cry in order to move forward. I'm just saying. I'm a crybaby. For real, for real. The older I get, the bigger crybaby I become. And I am not embarrassed to say it. Now that doesn't mean, I'm still a thug. Just kidding. Anyway, Clipper's mother says to her, just remember one rule. Bitches don't just cry, they get even. So whatever it is that's got you in this place, like I just said, cry that shit out and then figure that shit out. I don't know. I don't know about get even, because get even sometimes, most of the time, usually will get you in trouble. I don't think it's your place in life to get even necessarily. It depends, but get even doesn't really sound like it doesn't sound like you're really moving forward. It sounds like you're holding on to that shit. That get even will get you in trouble. Anyway, we're at Teek's funeral. And Scarface is playing in the background. And it was just all very much in slow motion. Everybody dressed in their colors and they, viewing the body, and everybody's leaving. Looks like gold chains because Teek had a whole bunch of gold laying across his chest, and then Murder came and put a blunt in there. I said, just in case it gets, too tight for him down there in the hole. And he tweaked his nose, and that was a thing that they had between them. And, then he walked away. And so I don't know how, in such a short period of time, that's a testimony to the guy playing, I have to put his name up there, the actor that played Big Teek. But we got attached to him real quick for him to go like that. His story was told really fast, but in a way that we all, not necessarily identified with it, but you could definitely empathize and feel emotional about the situation. So, you could see them slowly walking the casket. All of the, the guys were his pallbearers, and they put him in that hearse that they went on tour in. And Murder, of course, was the last one to lean on his body, and that was the end. And that's how we said goodbye to Teek. And it was very, very beautiful. Soon as he gets done, laying his homie to rest, somebody shows him a video of this nigga Pico. Now Pico is the one that started that fight with them out, out on the road, and Teek had to lay his ass out. So I did not know then, but we know now that this guy was part of a rival gang, within their small town. Good Lord, little bitty town with, shit, I guess it ain't but two gangs to be in. Half the town on one side and half the town on the other side. But anyway, we know now that he's from a rival gang in the whole town. And that explains the tension between him and T, because it was a very already understood that they was a problem, an issue. I guess where Murder fits in is they grew up together. So before they were on that gang life, they was on some regular folks, they know each other. They grew up together, kind of. Anyway, this dude is on here on the phone, on live or whatever the heck they was be doing, claiming that he was the one that took Teek out. So, well, now what we gonna do about that? Because we know that's not true. And based on what Murder knows, we're not doing that. We're not gonna take credit for something that, not for his dude. That's not what we're doing. So, now he got to be back to being a gangster. He's a rapper, but he's also a real gangster. Now he got to be on some gangster shit. And ain't nobody got time for that. Now you done came down here and settled your ass over here with Uncle Clifford and Grandma Ernestine, and you're not finna bring that foolishness over around there. That's just not okay. So you was okay when you was a little murder, little calculator, little homicide, but now you really on some, street shit, and nobody wants that shit. So, we got 2 more episodes left. How are we gonna figure all of this out in such a short span of time? Meanwhile, back at the paint. Mercedes in Mississippi, they rehearsing, and Mercedes is still a struggling ass mess on that pole. It ain't a thing, Mercedes. You really gonna have to figure your shit out because that ain't it. And Whisper and Roulette are sitting over in the corner, realizing that this is not what they want. They do not want to be no old ass girl trying to swing her ass around the pole and can't get up there. So Roulette tells Whisper, you really need to think about that offer Terrence made you. Now, remember, Terrence is the guy that Whisper was, giving him head back over, before the paint got shut down. And he said she had dick sucking lips. Well, he did proposition Whisper, and she'd been thinking about it. And Roulette obviously has some stake in the game because she's trying very hard to convince this girl to go ahead and do it. She says she's thinking about it, so baby steps, I guess. In the middle of that disastrous rehearsal, Mercedes gets a phone call from Terica. So she has to run out the building, and Terica saves the day because what Mercedes needed to do was run out the building. It was real bad. So over at Mercedes' house, Shell over there, she done found out that Mercedes took Terica over to Jackson to the termination station. And she is drunk and mad. And I thought about that. I was like, so we're just gonna pretend like Mercedes has custody of this kid and she can act as a guardian because she cannot legally. And that's pretty much what Shell was trying to tell her. So now they back at the house trading insults with each other. And Mercedes asked Shell, like, why do you think she came to me? And Shell is like, well, I mean, if I was opening my legs to little random nappy-headed ass boys, then I guess I would come to you. And they going back and forth, like, who's the better mother? The drunk one or the, stripper? Both of y'all being a mess right now because all that arguing is making this kid so uncomfortable because she loves both of you. And so she says, Mom, and they both turn around and say, what? Now she don't know which one to say. And Shell's like, nuh-uh. You ain't had her over here for a few days and now you think you qualified to take over and be her mother. They go back and forth some more and Terica just gets up and was like, come on, let's go. And Mercedes is like, what are you talking about? She's drunk. She's going to take an Uber and you're going to go back in your room. And she's like, no, I'm going to take her home. And Mercedes was like, you can't drive. And Terica said, yes, I can, thanks to you. So Mercedes taught her how to drive, I'm assuming. And then both mothers let the girl drive the drunk lady home. And we're wondering why she's in this situation. Sucks. I guess since Clifford's mother told her, to get even, the wheel's been churning and she driving through a field out in the middle of nowhere to meet up with Corbin. Corbin is over there working on a water line system or something. Clifford pulls up in this rainbow colored car and she gets out. And she's got fabric flowing from here to there, and Lord have mercy, it's a moment every time she enters the room. I tell you that. Corbin is working on an irrigation system. He wears suits by day when he's the politician's manager, and then in the afternoon he's out here working on the irrigation system. Clifford tells Corbin that they have a common enemy in Autumn, and Corbin was like, you the one decided I was the enemy, and they go back and forth about who betrayed who, and I guess, Corbin has been and Clifford also have known each other for years and have grown up together, so they probably found themselves in this predicament many times where they fight and then have to team up together. Clifford tells Corbin, like, you wasting your time supporting Andre, and really the power is in you because we know Andre is a goof troop. I mean, I guess Andre's okay as long as he has Autumn there to help guide him, but ain't that always the way it is? Anyway, I digress. Corbin said to Clifford, do you know how it feels to have the whole world turn their nose up at you? And I don't think the whole world is turning their nose up to him, but definitely in Chuckalissa, where he is always gonna be, the half white, half black, child of a, we don't know what his daddy was. Clearly he had something. He was, affluent in some way, because the stand-in mayor and the daddy was somebody in their small town. Clipper said, yes, half nigga, I do. I died. Oh my God. Clifford leaves Corbin with a gem and was like, sometimes you have to know if you can't get to the water, you got to bring the water to you. I don't know how that equates, but I guess we're going to figure that shit out. But, he did just take grandma to the water. So, it was an epiphany for him. I'm like, what are you talking about, Clifford? Where is Corbin supposed to take the water to? I have an idea, but I don't know how good of an idea that is. So now we over at the hotel with Roulette and Whisper waiting on Terrence, and they dancing around the room, getting loaded. I guess you would have to get very loaded in order to have, some strange nigga just walk in the door and put, his face in the place. But maybe they're used to that. They're sex workers. I just find that I would need to be nearly unconscious in order to, make that happen. Anyway, Terrence shows up. He's a little bit confused because Roulette is there. And he's like, I ain't gonna be able to, I don't know if I'm the guy to handle both of y'all, but I could try. Roulette is like, this is not a 2-for-1, you dipwit. I'm just letting you know that I'm staying, because if any, funny business pops off, then, it's gonna be problems. So either we staying or you leaving. And he's like, all right. Well, first he says something like, oh, you know me, I wouldn't do that. And she's like, nigga, I don't know you. Really? No, we don't. So this is the rule. I'm gonna go chill in the bathroom. Y'all do what you gotta do. And when it's over, you're gonna pay the money and we'll be out. Sorry ass Andre back at the house, feeling sorry for himself, looking at the doggone commercial that they smear campaign that they put out against him. But if your dumb ass had told the truth in the first place, we, wouldn't be here now, would we? He's staring at the $10,000 check that Autumn gave him. She out here writing $10,000 checks. Well, all right then, Miss Thing. So then there's a knock at the door, and it's Autumn. She shows up with a jar, mason jar with moonshine in it, walking in, slinking in slow. I don't know why she irritates my soul. They sitting down, and they're on a little moonshine date picnic on the floor. And they start trading stories about their deadbeat dads, and who she doesn't even know who her parents are, either one of them. So that's a whole nother story. And I don't know who raised her. And he was like, she had referred to him as the next mayor of Chuckalissa. He's like, that dream is, it's dead and gone now. And she's like, don't let the white boys bully you out of what you want. And he was like, he changes the subject to the other night. How he said, I've never done it quite like that before. Well, I mean, I guess she knows some tricks. Shit, she's a stripper. I would guess she would. Anyway, Andre said he loved being with her, but he loved being with Lakeisha that night, but he wanted to wake up with Haley in the morning. And I'm like, this bitch is Lakeisha, Haley, Autumn. Anyway. She said, I can't give you Haley, but I could give you Autumn. Well, who the hell is Autumn? Autumn is the stripper. Lakeisha is her alias, and Haley is who she think maybe. We don't know. I can't keep up. And while she was getting ready to give him a show, he brings up the fundraiser, and it throws her off, and then ding, I have a great idea. So she backs off at that point because now she has an idea. She calls up two people. We don't know who it is. Hey, so and so, are you with so and so? All right, I need to meet you right now. So whatever he said, fundraiser, her idea sent her flying right back out the door. So I guess he'll have to experience Lakeisha Autumn Haley another time. Back at the hotel, Whisper is doing her best corny porn moan, and I refuse. Not gonna do it. I'm very tempted because I think it's funny, but I'll leave it alone. Anyway, Rolette is in the bathroom playing Candy Crush, and she must be winning because this bitch is dancing around talking about, I'm the Crush champion. Roulette is funny. She's super funny. So after Terrence does his business, he gets up and throws the money on the floor. Like, that wasn't cool. Like, I'm not sure what his whole attitude was about, but he just got what he asked for, been begging for it. So he did it, he got it, and now he mad. What you mad for, Terrence? You didn't like blow her mind? She wasn't mind blown. She was fake porn moaning. Anyway, whatever money he threw on the floor was $200 short. I'm guessing. Yeah, she said he 200 short. I don't know how much. 20 stacks. 20. I'll have to do that math. But anyway, Tara said he did all the work and she didn't even know how to moan right. Now, I don't know what that means, but Terrence did not appreciate her fake moaning. He said she didn't even do it right. And she told him he's basically lucky that she even did the fake porn moan at all, because she could tell when he walked in the door that he had that aura of a nigga that ain't never pleased a woman in his life. And Roulette fell out. She like, damn, you ain't have to hit him like that. What she should have did after she said that though is take 2 steps back, because that's when he put his hands around her throat, and then she turned into. And I'm like, why would you say that and then stay there? Like, you should have known he was gonna react to that. You know, that was a low blow. It was a good one, but it was a low blow, and you know, little ego couldn't handle that. But you know, while he was all into choking this girl out, Roulette came over there and put the piece to his head. Now, she told him that she was staying around to make sure there was no funny business. So I'm not sure, you know, I guess he was so blinded by embarrassment, he couldn't think straight. And so she was like, how about we play my favorite game? You know, her name is Roulette. So we're going to assume that that's her favorite game. And he, you know, not taking her seriously, she put the gun to her head, blah. And he was like, you know, then she aimed it at him, blah. Okay. Now he's taking her seriously because she's quick on the click. She's quick on the click. We don't know where that bullet is, but you know, she's boom, boom, boom. And so now we got this dude trembling and begging, like, oh, please, please, I will pay you the other part of the money. Roulette looks at Whisper and says, take his clothes off. So now they done took his clothes off. And she gets in front of him and she puts the piece in his mouth. And she starts making him suck on the tip of the heat. I don't want to say the G word. And then she tells him, now moan like how you wanted her to moan. Oh my God. I was humiliated for this guy. It was bad. He's a big old thug sitting on his knees, butt ass naked with a piece in his mouth, moaning like a bitch. And after they embarrassed the hell out of him, they take his clothes, run out the door, and took his car too. He's standing on the hotel balcony screaming, don't take my car, with his dick in his hand. Hilarious. Now we see homeboy Pico. I think that's his name, Pico. The guy that claimed he took out Teak. He's coming out of the corner store, walking through. He comes out of the store and he walks his field. I'm guessing he has to go to the bathroom or something, because he goes like, there's like abandoned trailers from trucks over there. It's just this open field, but kind of off away from everybody. And then the phone rings and he's talking to his son. His son's like, hi, Daddy, and when are you coming home? And He's standing outside, focused on the phone call. Murder comes out of the dark, rolls up on him. He got like a hoodie on. He saw, and he has on the colors of the rival on the bandana. So he's like, murder? And when he knew it was murder, he automatically knew, he know what it is. He know what it is he did. And he's like, I don't want no trouble. And Murder said, you want to claim a body, but you don't want to claim the weight that comes along with it. And I agree. Like, what did you think? What did you think was going to happen? You pretty much put a price on your own head by doing that. You knew they weren't going to just let that fly. So now, he pulls out the shotty. We go from one shotty to another, but this one was a shotty. And so now this dude is begging, like, please, please, my mama. I have a son on the way. My son, my 6-year-old son, and Murder is like, Tyson. And he said, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'll let him know his father loves him. And then close range, real close. It was, unexpected. I was like, oh, this is why they call him Murder. It's not just a cool rap name. He's like really about that life. So Mercedes pulls up on the street party. And of course, man is like, clear everybody out of the way. She got that yellow Camaro or whatever, sporty thing. So they know what it is when she pulled on the street. So as soon as she gets out of the car, she, gets out. He has a moment to like take her in, and damn, ladies. And she looks cute, but she usually does. And except for when she been on that pole lately, that ain't been real cute. But usually she looks very cute. Anyway, she gets out the car, and then no sooner than, she was standing there for 2 seconds, somebody runs up and was like, they just popped Pico. And so immediately this dude is about to go get in the middle of that nonsense. And she's like, hello, stupid. You have an ankle bracelet. And you just got out of the pen this morning. Why don't you let them niggas that don't have an ankle bracelet go handle that street shit and go sit your ass down, please, and thank you. Why? I don't know why niggas be so attached to that nonsense. It's so dumb. So dumb. Anyway, so they gone into the house. I guess he come to his senses. And I mean, he's got Mercedes there. What the hell are you running off? And it's 100 of them. And they're not gonna find him. So it is what it is. Pico's gone. He could tell the Mercedes has something on her mind. And so he asked her about it if she wants to talk. And she tells him what happened without telling him what happened. She just, she definitely didn't go into details, but they speak the same language. He knew exactly what she was talking about. And she asked, how do you like get it out of your mind? How do you get rid of the nightmares? Do they ever go away? And he said, no, they don't ever go away. And she was like, then what do you do? And he was like, I mean, you try to make a difference in somebody else's life, and hopefully when it's time for you to go, the man upstairs will have decided that that balanced out, that you did enough good to make up, for the bad. Then, he immediately puts his hand in her skirt. And I guess in that moment, maybe she realized that you should stay away from nappy-headed niggas that only want one thing. Because, if that's the message you're going to teach your children, then I guess you should really be living by those same rules. Clifford goes to visit her mother at the gravesite, and she's setting it up, like pouring out a little liquor. And, her mother was in the club. So they were it was like, if she was visiting her for real. And, you always pour out a little liquor. That's how they do that. Anyway, I don't think there's any etiquette necessarily. You go to a grave, you bring flowers, and you commune with the spirit. The last place where your loved one was, a physical person, human being. Anyway, Clifford is not ready to let go of Miss Ernestine. So basically she's crying to her mother, like, don't take her away. You know, she knows that when her grandma Ernestine went down to that damn river, she was hollering Beulah. And Clifford went over there to Beulah's grave and was like, Beulah, I have no one, just Ernestine. Please do not take her away. I felt so whatever emotion Clifford was going through in that moment. I felt that. I've been there. There's nothing like knowing that it's getting close to that time and you're just not ready. You're not ready to let go. Child, Patrice Woodbine is down to the pulpit internet preaching and collecting donations. You can see the donations, $13, $1, $20. She said, what did she say? She said, I forgive the crackers, for they know not what they do. That Patrice is entertaining to me. I don't know. Now I'm torn. I don't really want Andre to be mayor. I definitely don't want Homeboy to be mayor, but if Woodbine is mayor, then there's not gonna be no casino, and then Uncle Clifford won't get that money, and then that we don't want that. But shit, she might not get it anyway, because Autumn over here negotiating like she thinks she the biggest pimp in, Chuckalisa, and she about to not get no money. So anyway, for right now, I'm torn between Andre and Woodbine. That's what the hell they did that, now this nigga's gonna win. Anyway, child. Somebody donates $10,000. And the $10,000 donation came with a message. It's Corbin. And his message said, catch me outside. So she went prancing outside and seeing him out there. And he tells her basically he needs her to drop out of the race. And he handed her the stack. It was a nice fresh stack in a brown paper bag. And he told her that there's plenty more where that is to come from. But I don't know, Corbin. I don't know. I think Patrice, she wants to be mayor now. I don't think that's gonna get it. Like she said that she knows now what that position can do for her. And I don't know, Corbin. You might have just threw that money away. I'm just saying. So Roulette takes Terrence's car down to her homeboy, her little white boyfriend. I forget his name. He's got a body shop, a chop shop. So she took homeboy's car down there and told him like she needs him to bust that thing down by tomorrow. And he was like, ain't nobody gonna be looking for this. And she was like, nope. What did he say that man's name was? He said Terrence Walker, not even him. He's not gonna be looking for it. She was like, I got a word that I don't think he's gonna be looking for this car at all, asking no questions. And so Kitty Pie was like, well, where you want me to drop the bus down at? And she said, down in the valley, baby. And you know the rest. Where the girls get naked. 1, 2, shake them. Anyway, we at the studio. So where do you go when you're a rapper called Murder and you just committed a murder? you laid your homeboy to rest and you committed a murder. You and your girl are on the outs because you got all this street shit going on. You're not telling her what's tea, and she's like feeling some type of way. So, you better release this energy in the studio and go fix that. So every time Murder goes in the studio, for me, it's a good thing because I love listening to his music. But he in the studio, he got blood on his hands, literally. And he said, drop the beat. And that's where we left it. So next week, y'all, is Mississippi gonna escape this foolishness? And I don't know who's gonna be the mayor of Chuckalisa. I can't wait to find out. All right, y'all. See you on the next one. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and we will check you out when the Sunday rolls around again. Bye, y'all.